I really don't know what my interface is doing. It's supposed to be on mono. It's weird. And we're just waiting for the video stream to catch up. If you can hear me, welcome to tonight. Alright, here we go. Hey everybody, it is not that time. It's Thursday. It's Thursday, you guys. It is Thursday night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Let me guys... Oh, wait, I'm hearing audio from somewhere.
Uh-oh.
It's not you. It's none
That's
of
not
you.
good.
I've got 3 iterations of Google Meets going all at the
All
same
right, guys, we're still sorting out some things here. Adam will be back.
No, we're good.
I promise.
I found it.
Little technical issues right now, but yo, welcome to the show. Welcome to our new time slot. It's we're gonna start doing Thursdays 7 to 9. I think it's a lot easier for a host and hopefully for the guests too. And yeah, so let's get into it. We'll go in straight into the normal stuff. I got the calendar here, so we have let's see. Next weekend is beginning of August, so our guest next week will be Jordan Myers, one of Adam's buddies from down there at Rolling Garage. And then on Saturday we're going to be doing S-Fest car show down in Salem. It's a polished concrete indoor car show demo, typical setup. It will be new guys setting up the track, so Jake nor I can make it to that event, but we have Chris and Judd. Chris's car is entered into the show, so shouldn't be a big deal. These are 2 guys that Judd has definitely worked on most of the tracks we've done at PDX, so should be a good time. And then after that, we have the week after that is a gentleman by the name of Chris on the show on Thursday. I'm not too sure. I'm pretty sure that's
he
Christian
tunes in
Sen in chat. I believe he's from Puerto Rico, so
Yes.
That'll be an interesting show. Then you got FD Seattle as well as the PDX round 5. So that's August 10th is FD Seattle. A few of us are going up to that, and then we have round 5 of the PDX region SDC, the penultimate round. I believe in that round, basically, in order for Jake to not win, I have to win and TQ, and then he would have to go out in the first round. So good luck with that. And then the next event on our calendar is going to be our Drift to Death, the team associated Drift to Death events. That's August 23rd, 24th, and 25th. I'll run you guys through that real quick. We have just a general kind of Matsuri type deal. This year's a little short notice, but basically try to put on an annual event at a point in the calendar where I feel like a lot of people are kind of tired of the competition circuit a little bit. Give everyone a little break before SDC finals. Adam, I believe, is coming to that.
Yep, Drift to Death.
Oh,
Hell
nice.
yeah. So yeah, Adam's one of our guest drivers. We have a couple other guys coming out. We will slowly be announcing all that stuff. We have a lot of sponsors on board, so the giveaway should be pretty sick. Obviously, team associated title sponsor. They're going to be giving away a DC-10. There are also a raffle for DC-10s, 2 DC-10s available on the PDX website, the PDX-RC Underground website. That's something that Kevin's doing. Jake says he has to not show up for me to win, so I'm going to figure out. I'll be calling in some anonymous tips that a man in a blue Tacoma is terrorizing the Vancouver area on that weekend, so that should be good. And then we got, after that, we have September 8th is our final round. Oh yeah, Jake says Wing Break Circuit, which is his home track, will be donating some wheels to the giveaway, which is pretty good. We got One Up Racing is on board.
His actual
Obviously,
home track.
Beast Mode, they were one of the first sponsors. I think they were the first sponsor to come on board. They're donating a chassis of your choice. And then we have some stuff from AccuVance via thanks to Jordan. Jordan is also a guest driver. He'll be coming out. So August or September 8th is our finals. And then after that, we have October, what is it, 5th and 6th is SDC Worlds. And that's all I have on my calendar. We have a pretty good group of guys coming down up from PDX. I know you're obviously going to be going, Adam.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously that's going to be a huge event.
We need a way to differentiate.
So let's get into this here. We got Adam Hoki on the show with us tonight. Adam is I would call him a Rolling Garage resident, although that has changed. Welcome back, our own Adam from Oregon to the show. So you're living in Vegas now. You are typically driving at Rolling Garage. We'll get into how and why that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
You are a member of the Establishment Drift Team, which we've had a lot of your teammates on the show before, including Justin, just randomly hopping on, demanding to be on the show last week.
Hey, that was fun.
To chat about things.
That was a good one. That was a good show.
Cool.
I always like talking to Justin. So, let's just get started. So tell us just kind of an intro to yourself, who you are, how you got into all this crap.
Got you. So I'm Adam. Most people know me as being from Reno or being a Rolling Garage local. I got into this really last July. I'd always been interested. Like I'd always seen, the all-wheel drive kind of CS days, but I never really got into it. I was pretty young by then, and I had a YV2 SX3, and I drove it at my local concrete track, and I was just kind of introduced to the community by Josh Remick of Florida from
Nice.
East Bay Sliders, who you guys had on.
Yep.
And he really kind of opened my eyes. He told me about this place called Rolling Garage, and I headed down, and kind of from there it was history. I was there every week and until I moved, and that place will always be home.
That's pretty awesome. How did you meet Josh?
So he came up to Reno, and he was at what was our local drift track at Whippet RC.
Okay.
And he brought his Yokomo pit bag. At this point, I was carrying my car to the track, and I had all my I had Ziploc bags of stuff. Yeah. And seeing how organized and how dedicated he was, I was like, wow, he really knew what he was doing.
Knows what he's doing.
Exactly,
I always love that you can always tell a new guy by what they bring the first couple of times. Usually it's like the kit box, or I've seen just like random Tupperware, or just like grocery bags.
I used to put all my stuff into a duffel bag.
There you go.
Dude, it was like whatever fit, I had all my tools, which I have all my tools in a Ziploc bag. So I have my driver's set, my micrometer, all my turnbuckle wrenches and everything. But it's just it's in my front little pouch in my Yokomo pit bag. But I kind of reminds me where I came from, just bringing everything loose to the track.
Good little reminder.
Jake, that's at you. You need to buy a new micrometer. Or calipers.
Caliper.
He's been using his same busted thing for who knows how long.
I honestly don't even turn mine on. I use it, but I don't turn it on.
I just lock it in place.
Yeah. As long as things are matching, then that's all I care about, really. I'm not writing down measurements or anything. So tell us about how. First of all, I want to make it clear you have not been doing this very long. When did you start?
So I have a video from my first day at Rolling Garage, and that was maybe after a week or two being into it, and that was July 5th, 2023. So about a year now. So.
And what place did you get at Overdose Games?
So since I lost to Chuck, or Charles Ong, my friend from Vegas. Shout out,
Chatter, known
yeah,
chatter.
yeah, yep. And so he came in third, so seventh total. So qualified fifth, finished seventh. Which how could I be upset with that?
Yeah, that's pretty insane, dude. Like, yeah, there was obviously a lot of huge names in that event, and yeah, I'm blown away. Like, to only be doing this that long. I mean, you're one of the only people I really can be like, yeah, I've been doing it way longer than this guy. It's like by 3 months or something.
I got you. It's for me. What I tell people is like, it's kind of just track time and how much time you dedicate outside of that. Because it's like, nobody's really naturally talented at driving an RC car. Everybody has to adapt. So it's like, it's just getting used to it, getting used to your car, and just tuning and having an understanding of what you want out of the car, and it's just drive time after that.
Yeah, and I think having your dojo be rolling garage probably helped as well.
Definitely, absolutely.
So now you have recently moved to Vegas.
Yeah, so I moved to Vegas July 10th, so a little more than 2 weeks ago. And yeah, so I went for academic purposes. I'm continuing my medical education. And yeah, it's to say that I was welcomed by the Vegas community is an understatement. Every time I go to the track, be it prototype or slide lines, I'm always welcomed. And I think that's something that I've noticed at basically every track that I've been to. Like, the community is kind of always hyped to see more people come to their track.
Yeah.
And it's definitely tight knit. Seeing a lot of people I'd met on Instagram, or seen their videos or them competing, and it's kind of like I kind of get a culture shock kind of thing. I'm not used to it, but couldn't complain at all. I love it here. Definitely miss home. Definitely miss Rolling Garage and all those guys. But
of course,
I'm in good hands here too.
Yeah. Got a great scene out there. That's definitely something I have experienced now. Meeting people that you've shared a couple messages with online. It's like you meet them and it's like oh, we're already friends. Like, this is great.
Totally.
Makes where normally I would probably, if I were to show up to a track dead cold, like not having talked to anybody, I would probably be pretty quiet and kind of to myself. But if I've commented on someone's Instagram account, or even send them a DM or whatever, it's just like, oh yeah, when we meet, it's like, bam, we're friends, we're good.
Exactly. Yeah. And I love that about this community.
Yeah, it's really cool. I even what was it? It was either Friday or Tuesday. There was a guy hanging out around our pit tables. So I introduced myself to him, and I ended up talking to him for 15, 20 minutes, and come to find out he's a buggy guy. So he's not even there to do what we're doing, but he was kind of I was trying to kind of talk to the buggy guys, and they were all kind of standoffish a little bit. So I was like, well, there you go. This is better. We win. We're a better community. So yeah, I think that gets echoed a lot. That gets echoed a lot, that the drift community is very welcoming and open.
Let's keep that in mind, since the DC-10 and the associated and the Traxxas chassis are coming out. Keep that in your heart.
That's a good point, because you're going to be at the track one day, and one of those Traxxas is going to show up, and you're going to be like, what the? But
I have a feeling some DC-10 guy is going to go up to another DC-10 guy and go, what's your setup sheet? And you can be like, no.
Well, yeah, if you are one of the few DC-10 guys so far, I've seen people starting to build their cars. Jake just posted his refined DC-10 setup. So Jake was able to kind of drive the car before really they were shipped out. And
I'm going to restart my audio interface. I'll be back.
Alrighty. In the Roast My Rig section, he posted up his current of his own personal chassis that he just got. So if you're looking for DC-10 setup and tuning tips, Jake Daughter on
Oh
Instagram.
yeah,
Jake
didn't he squeezed like all the angle out of that car?
Yeah.
I think I saw in a story. Yeah, that thing looks, that alignment looks nice.
Yeah, I mean, this was always going to happen, but yeah, Jake's the guy to definitely start working on that kind of thing.
Check.
I think, you know, he has a track in his garage, and it's a pretty decent garage. So, you know, he's always driving and drifting basically every day.
Gotcha.
We might
Definitely
be having some audio issues here. Hopefully everyone can still hear us. If you can't, you know, sorry, that sucks. Yeah, and hopefully a similar situation will happen with the Traxxas car, right? Like some experienced hands will get it, and then
we're very
make
accepting.
it good.
We're always,
Sure.
you know, hey, how can I help? What, you know, do you need any help with anything? Kind of thing, to the wider RC community, and you're gonna see that with a lot of people coming in with, you know, I mean, the DC10 out of the box. I mean, I took a look at it at Super G, and it's a good chassis. It's got the tuning. It's got all the tuning capabilities that you want. It has things that other entry-level chassis like the RDX and the RD 2.0 don't have, and you know, it's more aimed at, you know, the starter community, and it kind of shows that they did more research into what, you know, is currently desired.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Traxxas is definitely going to be something where it's going to take patience. Like, you're going to have to explain to somebody who's new, you know, the limitation of the car, or, you know, being patient if they hit you on track. Like,
yeah,
it's going to test the mettle of the community, and I believe in the community to kind of maintain their, you know, composure and keep being like the kind, outgoing community that we are. But, you know, we'll see. Ultimately, it's
for all of us, it won't be the first time we've had what I call roadblock cars or roadblock people on the track, right? We've all experienced this before, and I think it's important for everyone to realize, like, that person may show up to your track, but, you know, getting pissed at them and making them not want to come back is not really beneficial.
Absolutely, totally
to
agree.
To everything that you're trying to do. So, yeah, keep that in mind. I think, you know, the Traxxas cars remains to be seen whether they will be, like, with the DC10, at least I'm like, that will just be fine over time. Like, it'll just be fine. It'll be just like any other whatever, what you know, chassis. But the Traxxas is, like, in my opinion, it kind of remains to be seen if it's going to be really viable as, like, a, you know, if you could really put it in the same group as the other cars. We'll see. I'm hopeful that it is, but yeah, I think everyone just needs to keep in mind, like, people will come to your track with those things, and they'll be learning, and just kind of that's part of the game.
I mean, to speak to the ability of these cars, like, my teammate on the establishment, Aldo, or, you know, Swiss Miss on Instagram, he drives a TTO too. So yeah, you know, he put the MRC kit on it. He got more angle out of it, but, you know, he had to put in a lot of work. So I imagine, you know, while it's not going to be drop in like with the MRC kit, I imagine somebody's going to develop something that's similar.
Yeah,
it's not going to be out of the race for too long. Traxxas is too big of a name to, you know. Yeah, somebody's going to develop something. So
yeah. Similar to kind of news, I would call it, is we had John Schultz at our track, who I believe also stopped by Rolling Garage. This guy's been on, like, a crazy West Coast tour with his DC10. He's a Team Associated employee, and he's been driving the DC10. But he told me straight up, like, they are wanting to support kind of the aftermarket for their chassis. They're not trying to be, you know, they're all for people developing and improving that platform with them. So it is not, I know I've seen some comments here and there of, you know, people being concerned with Associated, like, trying to prevent that kind of thing from happening, but it doesn't sound like that's going to be the case. Now, one guy at a company can say one thing, and we'll see if that actually is how it shakes out. But it sounds promising. So
Definitely.
And I already I talked to him about the ball studs that they included with the kit. They're kind of chunky, and it limits the articulation of the suspension in some places. And he was already like aware of that fact. And there are even the normal B7 ball studs could totally avoid that issue. So pretty cool to see. They're already kind of like on top of knowing what the problems are.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I don't have any worries with AE. I mean, with all the revisions they do to their buggy line, and how committed they are to, when they enter any platform, they wouldn't just kind of like it. This doesn't look like something where they're just kind of throwing something out there to be out there. It looks like it's something very deliberate.
Yes,
something there. Yeah. They put a lot of thought into, and I can see that, just looking at the car. So. Yep.
So before we do too much echoing of our conversation last week, let's get into what you drive. What are you working with?
So it's kind of complicated. As
it is these days with people.
I was talking to Mitch from Rolling Garage about what we should call it, and so I've kind of been crowdsourcing it. So it's I'll break it down. It's an RCO Kansai deck. I went with the RCO deck because it offered the most kind of variability in setup. I can do basically any flex option, any front end option, any rear end option, and so with that I wanted to use the SD2 transmission, and I put that into 3 gear, and then up front I have a DDSS, so a Rhino Racing direct drive, and then. Yeah, so overdose rear arms, Rev D front arms, and then nerds on all 4 corners. So very, very different. A lot of people kind of just look at it and, ask me, is it an RDX? I'm like, not really. Or, is this a Yokomo? I'm like, kinda.
Yeah.
But, it was a culmination of everything that I'd liked in every other chassis that I've driven. So I kind of just pieced together the things that I liked. And then, this was, what I arrived at. And I think the way that it performed across games and the way that it felt so natural, I have no desire to change. And it was a proving ground for my setup. And at this point, it's just like, leave it where it is. We'll see what happens. I might assess it after FCC finals, but at this point, it's kind of just locked in there.
Yeah. Mitch says Adam's back. That's kind of that's a question we've brought up a lot recently, is like, what makes a chassis? And I think some people at PDX would say the transmission is what makes a chassis, which I don't know if I really agree with that.
That's the only thing that you can keep consistent on a chassis. Like, if you were to call something, that's like the only identifier.
If it were possible, I would love to see a poll of the community as a whole, like maybe on here or the Facebook group, just like where do you derive the name of the chassis? So like you guys are saying the transmission, and like I was talking to Brett from Slide Lines, and he was like, yeah, this is an SD2. I was like, okay, so it's an SD2. But yeah, a lot of people like look at it. It's like, is it a Shark? Is it an RDX? And like Junta, the first thing he thought when he saw my car was, it's an RDX. I'm like, nah. And then he looked at it and he's like, is this a Yokomo transmission? I'm like, I was like, this is Rhino Racing. And I was like, yep. He looked not confused, but just kind of like he was trying to understand what my thought process was. Yeah. And I thought it was very interesting, given this is a GOM factory driver. He's got a fully hopped up, in our currency $5,000 chassis, and it's like he's just looking at this like, what is this thing? This is like I've never seen anything like this.
I would probably just call it a YD2 and be done with it.
I mean, I'm not averse to that at all.
So
what? Oh, go ahead, Adam.
How do I sound right now? Because I'm definitely not on my regular microphone.
You sound fine. yeah, not as good as normal, but fine.
Yeah, this is coming from a new wireless microphone that I just got. So, cool. Very quiet, says Jacob Parker. Okay. I will work on that. But to touch bases on that really quickly, it's like like an engine swap in an S2000, right? It's like you put a LS motor in an S2000 or K swap, like whatever, right? It's still the Miata or the S2000 or whatever you swap, right?
Yeah. So that would kind of, to me, it kind of would lean towards the actual chassis, like the deck. But in the case of an RDX, it's like, all right, well, what's that based on?
I like the gray area. It's just kind of like there's no definite answer, and that's what I love about it. It's just kind of like, what are your criteria, for defining what a chassis or what a car, the whole thing is? What should you call it?
I went with body on the poll because that.
Yeah, I drive a 400Z, but sometimes it's an S15. But then also sometimes it's a GR86.
So, as far as like electronics, what are you using?
So I have a Yarvis XX ESC, and then I have a blaze cap on that, and then I have the overdose. So I have an overdose 6.5 purple can, and then I put the internals, the stator of a 10.5 Agile. I got the idea from one of my friends, Hector, who's in the chat right now.
Yeah.
And it sounds like an overdose motor. And then I actually came from having a 10.5, and it sounds exactly the same. Like, it feels the same. It drives the same. I was like, it just sounds cool, and I think the sound's a big thing. I love the sound. But it's definitely a hit or miss for some people. And then I'm running a CD 700 and the GYD 550. So
nice.
Yeah, all Futaba Accuvants.
Yeah. Pretty similar to mine.
Yeah. I mean, it's I love tuning. I love the ability to kind of just pull off the track for 5 seconds, adjust my damper point or my torque in my servo, or my turbo start point immediately, and then I can just hop back on the track and see how that changed my setup.
Yep, totally agree there, and I agree with the sound thing too. The biggest thing I like about the sound of my car is that it doesn't really sound like anyone else's, so it just makes it easier to like. Obviously, I can drive because I drove with a non-turbo car. I can drive without hearing it, but if you can hear it, it's just another sensory input. It makes it a little bit easier. Oh,
especially at like cross games where there are 60 guys on the track, or everybody's talking. It's it helps a lot to be able to parse through the cacophony of motors and be like, that's my car. I can hear it. Like I can hear it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it's good. What are we working on there, DJ?
I'm since I now got magnets, I can kind of like mount my body to my chassis and then kind of do the final cuts on the wheel wells.
Nice. What is that?
This body?
Yeah.
It's the secret body.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's my secret body that I kind of even already revealed last or like 2 streams ago, whatever.
It's my main replica.
Yeah. So just the D-like RX-8.
You'll definitely be the only person out there with one of those, at least at our track.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I've seen an RX-8 on a track before. Yeah. So it's unique. I love having different cars on track.
Pretty good.
Yeah, so that's the goal.
You drove, so you came up and you kind of drove at Rolling Garage. You said like once a week.
Yeah. So about once a week. And then so I would have my one day off, and usually for the fall I would only have Wednesdays, and I'd only drive with a couple people, so like the owners of Rolling Garage, Ike, Carl, Ryan, Mitch, and sometimes Hector, sometimes Malcolm, But you know, it was pretty quiet, and what that really allowed me to do was like, get a feel for what my car was doing. Like I would set cones out and be like, I have to, you know, get through this zone this way, or I have to get through, you know, this clipping point without hitting this. And I think what that really did beyond just car control was understanding what my alignment did, because I could, you know, change my camber by 2 degrees, realign it, and then try it. Or it yeah, definitely
that's
helped.
That's something that gets overlooked. Like the days that you go are very important. Like we obviously have kind of right now our big night is going to be Friday. It's summer, so those days aren't quite as big as they usually are in the winter. But and Friday became, it was more like Friday I go to for the hang. It's like more seeing all the friends and hanging out and having a good time. But the days that I would really get the meaningful practice in was on Sundays, because there would only be, you know, 5 to 10 of like the core guys, and then it's just like just driving, not really hanging out. And yeah, that's when you get the really good practice. So picking the days that you go around that, I think is good. Obviously if you can only go 1 day a week, you can only go to 1 day a week. But
I mean, yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, it was, so like what you were saying about, you know, having like the days where, you know, there aren't that many people, and kind of so when I went in the spring, I had like Fridays off, so I would go on Fridays, and what I would notice is like I do a lot more tandem driving. I would try to chase people a lot more, and I think it kind of put more emphasis on my chase driving, and then kind of leading a good line when I'm being chased by, like, as you know, how, you know, aggressively the people of Rolling Garage chase you. It definitely puts pressure on your lead, and I think that you know, it's different aspects. It's like driving by myself helped in understanding how my tune worked, independent of other people, and then driving on Fridays gave me the opportunity to chase and the opportunity to be put under pressure, and you know, seeing where the cracks are.
Yeah, that's one thing for sure. I feel like I'm kind of as far as getting used to being chased, well, that is one of the mountains, I think, in our sport that is not necessarily easy to climb, but it's very climbable. You can get to the top. You can get to the point where you don't really care anymore, right? You're just kind of like, yeah, this guy's behind me. It is what it is. I remember early on feeling like, oh God, I'm in front of so many people right now. Don't mess up. Eventually that does just go away. But
yeah, totally.
I think there is still there's a benefit to driving alone, and, you know, treating that like qualifying, because qualifying is actually very important in these bigger competitions. So there's definitely meaningful practice to be had just driving alone and holding yourself to a very high standard as if it was qualifying.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I think that was the biggest thing, you know, driving by myself. It gave, like, I would stop a lot, because I'd see, you know, every qualifying run and every comp run, you're doing it that stop. So like, I'll practice like that. So, you know, I'd stop on the straight, and then I'd throw it into the sweeper and do the whole run and see how it was. And, you know, that was definitely something that helped. And, you know, for a long time, I was kind of prioritizing being a good chase driver because it looks cool.
Yeah.
And eventually I was like, you know, the unsung hero of a really good chase is the person leading.
Really good lead, yeah.
Yeah. So my goal is, like, I want to make, you know, the person behind me look really good, and I want to give them the opportunity. And I think that's definitely helped in comp, because I'm not deviating my line to try to be tactical or something. I just do my best lead. I do my best. Yeah, but I just run my line, and you know, we'll see what happens. But
I think I've come full circle from that, where at first I was trying to just chase good, and then I got to a point with that where I was like, I'm not really worried about it. I can just kind of do it. And then I started really focusing on qualifying, and that went great. Like I've done, you know, a lot higher qualifying on average than I was kind of the first several comps that I did. But then now I'm at to the point where it's like, oh shit, I need to go back and practice some chasing some more, because that's kind of starting to catch me out on some of these battles. So
See,
Yeah.
I think for you specifically, it's like it's not as if you're getting worse. It's just like you've increased your lead, and then you've increased your chase, and now you're increasing your lead, and it's like it's never going to be like this. There's always going to be some kind of inconsistency. So it's like you're just improving, period. So it's like you're not kind of sacrificing one for the other. It's just it's like practice. We're all kind of getting better.
And there was also like you have to accept, like, just keeping it real, when you're practicing chase, you do need to be able to do that well with anybody, right? But there's a point of like if you want to go to the top levels, your access to practice with that level of driver gets smaller and smaller, right? So that's kind of a challenge, is to balance that out, find the right people that can give you that, because you need to really do the chase where you're just on, touching the whole time. You need a really good lead driver to do that with. So
man, so I'm just gonna take this time right here to shout out Chuck from Tech One. So he came in third. He won round 3 of SCC in SoCal, and then he got third at Cross Games. And we just I make the joke to him. I'm like, man, I don't lose so many people, and I've lost to this guy 3 times, and every time it's like one more time, or like it's super close. And he's the guy who I drive with the most in Vegas. And man, like we went to 4 one more times in a final. Like it was like, and by the end we were basically in each other's car the entire way around the track. And it was like, it definitely the ability to, or not the ability, but just the having these drivers around you to push you definitely helps like a lot. I always when I go to slide lines, I always say like I'm the worst driver here, and I love it because it pushes me to be better. And I'm like, what more could I ask for if I want to be competitive?
Yeah, I would not complain if I was in a situation like that at all, because I mean you can only go up. Looks like Alfredo's in the chat. What's up, Alfredo?
What up, Alfredo?
Jacob, kind of echoing my point. That's like qualifying becomes super important because you want to get in that top half, so you can lead first for as long as possible. Let's see. Oh yeah, so being that we're talking about comp stuff, obviously you did well at Cross Games. How did you like the rule set and everything, and how it all went?
So, I like a lot of people like the ability to be more aggressive. I wasn't very used to it though. So, we avoid walls like the plague. Yeah. Because the moment you touch a wall, your run's over. That's it. Like
pretty much, yeah.
Game over. And then you see like Rio come in, and he's like tapping the wall somewhat. Like he would get a 0 in SDC, but like if you just kind of take yourself out of that mindset, he was absolutely killing it. He was driving the wheels off his car.
Yeah.
And see him get like a 95 on qualifying run. It's like, oh, okay. So, kind of just forget all that you've learned with like avoid that wall, and instead it's like throw it at that wall. If you touch it, it's fine. But it's like we were as our rule set, we're so ingrained to be like we can't touch the wall. Do not get close to the wall.
Edge.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't want to get cut. And there's no reason, like in my thought process, and when I comp, I'm like, I have no incentive to get one more point if it means like it increases risk by like 50% for me to hit a wall.
It's a totally different ball game.
Exactly. So, between my first and my second run, I just kind of I shrugged and was like, okay, well, I'm just going to go throw it. And, I qualified 5th, and I was like, yeah, okay, I just have to keep doing that. But, once battles start happening and, adrenaline's high, I kind of reverted back to my more, conservative, just kind of take the points and run away kind of thing. Yeah. Like hit the angle markers. Don't be a weenie and, just run. But it's like just playing it more conservative. And I think that was something that fundamentally separated drivers at cross games was like the ability to just kind of say, screw it, I'm going to throw it at the wall and see what happens. And, you know, those are the people who won. Those are the people who, you know, really showed themselves off.
It kind of, if you've watched FD at all, like when you see Chelsea do runs where he's throwing like almost backies in qualifying, it's like, what do people want to see? First of all, what's the most fun thing to do, right? Is drive like that. Obviously, you know, chasing it can be tough, but I think there's a lot of battles in SDC competition where one guy loses because of wall tap or something, and you're just sitting there and you're like, it's everybody in the room knows after watching those 2 laps that one of those dudes is the better guy, like the better driver, just from watching those 2 laps. Everybody in the room knows this guy's better, but it's like there's a wall tap, so then the other guy wins. It's like, I get it, their rules are rules, that's kind of just how it works, but you know, sometimes I think like it would be nice if it's just like a rule set where you're just like, yeah, this guy is a better driver, and they do it. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of thing that, you know, as a spectator kind of sets apart Drift Masters and D1 is, you know, the judging and, you know, the excitement factor, which is something that, you know, I think is almost lost in translation when you go to FD.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's a rule set, and nothing's ever set in stone, and I think that's an important thing, that like we can always just kind of like it's fluid. It's you know, nothing is absolute and forever.
Yep.
Oh, can I answer one of the questions in the chat?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Armando, what makes drifting fun for you? I love the tuning aspect. To be honest, I love learning about front end alignment and, you know, how compression in the shocks affects, you know, forward grip and, you know, shock angle, basically everything. That's the kind of thing that makes me excited. And, you know, honestly, the unknown of it, kind of just trying new stuff out, seeing if I like it, and knowing that it'll never be perfect, but it'll always be, you know, moving in a direction that I like. And then how was my first comp? So my first comp was at Rolling Garage. I think it was their September comp, you know, their monthly comp. And my first battle was against one of my friends, Paul from New Era. And I mean, I threw it against the wall. I threw it on a wall, and I hit basically every wall there was. And somehow, I don't know, we made it to one more time, and I think I advanced on that. And then I lost to Hector, one of my friends from Rolling Garage. And it was like, you know, sometimes I actually go back and I watch it just to see, you know, how far I've progressed, and just to get an understanding, because I think that's something that a lot of people forget, you know, in the chasing, hitting every zone, or, you know, making everything perfect, is like understanding how far you've come, and, you know, just understanding that it's a journey, and you know, it's not always forward, it's kind of meanders sometimes, but, you know, in the end you can really see the progression over time.
Yeah, and that's a big realization, is like, you know, obviously it's a judged competition, so you will have moments where you're like, what the hell just happened? But I think for everybody, if you just look at long-term results, it's just, you know, the people who are performing the best are, they're still performing the best. Like, more often than not, you get what you need out of a competition, right? So something to keep in mind. Jacob says, actually, I want to go back a little bit. Greg Mackin RC was mentioning how he doesn't think the DC-10 is entry level. And I do kind of agree with him on that point, in the same way that like an RD2 isn't. It's like an RD2 versus a bone stock RDX, right? Where you're not having to tune anything. But there's an argument of like, well, shouldn't you just learn how to tune anyways? But yeah, I could see that point for sure. It's not necessarily entry level in the sense that you can just put it together box stock and go drive. So yeah, I kind of agree with that. And then Jacob said, in his opinion, that that drifting maybe wasn't intended to be competitive. I think that's pretty subjective. It's kind of everyone will just sort of have their own opinion on that. I don't think there's not like a drift Bible somewhere that says don't compete in this sport.
There is actually a drift Bible.
Yeah, I'm sure someone wrote a drift Bible, much like the real Bible. No, I mean, never mind.
It's
Keiichi Tsuchiya. Yeah.
It's online.
The OG, yeah.
But if you think about it, I mean, the guys that were going out there on the mountains, right? They were competing. They were doing something. I don't think it was just, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah. I would never say something is as concrete as you're not supposed to compete, but that would be my opinion on that.
Yeah.
So you guys are how are you doing in the what region are you competing SDC in?
So the last round of Vegas, round 6, was my first ever FCC anything. So finals, prelims, anything. I previously, so I do my comps for the International RC Drift Federation. So that's like the Rolling Garage, AB Drift House, Sheldon's Hobbies one. And I think I'm second. I'm tied with Miko right now behind Alfredo in points. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely fun, and I really enjoy competing. And it's like I think, you know, just on the topic that Jacob brought up in the subjectivity of it, it's like, what do you want out of your hobby, or, you know, what do you want out of, you know, something that we're doing for fun? Because, you know, none of us are making a living on, you know, drifting RC cars.
Not
so
yet.
Ultimately, not yet. But like, what makes you smile? Like, what brings you the happiness? And, you know, for me, I love competing. It's something like, I don't know how to describe it, but that doesn't also mean that I'm not 100% looking forward to driving at the event at PDX.
Yeah,
like it's like one does not preclude the other. I don't have to be like, I'm 100% comp, or like I'm never gonna do a comp ever. I think it's just understanding, like, it's fluid, and there are times where, you know, I just didn't comp because, you know, I just didn't feel like it. I was like, I'm tired. I don't want to have to drive there or back, and like, or, you know, the vibe was off. I was just like, I'm not really feeling it. And I think that's something that a lot of people just have to consider. It's just like, you know, think about it. Why am I doing this? Am I doing this because,
I would agree. Like, it's hard to not make it seem like to newcomers that you have to compete, right? Like, because a lot of people will just be talking about that. But I think hopefully you can make it clear when someone starts, like, there's no expectation or requirement to do anything. Just do whatever you feel like doing. And if you want to compete, you can compete. I think, I'm very much along the same lines of you. Is like, I enjoy the hell out of just driving with my buddies on laps where all we're just trying to do is get close and have a train. That's great. That's a lot of fun. But also, I very much enjoy seeing where I stand in a competitive aspect, right? So, yeah, different strokes for different folks, really. I mean,
exactly.
So, let's see. What you're on a 10px, right?
Yeah. So,
do you do anything with like a throttle curve or anything like that?
So I've just gotten into that. I've started. I think I basically at this point have just made the first maybe third of my throttle a little more gentle of a gradation, but it starts the moment you pull the trigger, it starts moving like the car.
Yeah.
So I basically just like found that point, and for me it's like 20.
Yeah.
And then from there I go like 20, 22, 24, 26. So point by point 2 to 40, and then from there it's just linear to 100.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for that way, well, the thing that I do is I have really low FDR, and I that way I can kind of I still have that low end grip, but I have that high end, wheel speed should I ever need it. and I don't have to run my motor crazy timing or anything.
Yep.
So I'm only pushing like 70,000 RPM, and I can just kind of grind out that low RPM, so I can keep proximity, or say if I'm losing proximity, I can kind of just ease back on the throttle, and then I still have like a lot more granularity in that low end.
That makes perfect sense. Like you have that high wheel speed when you need it, but a very soft initial feeling on the throttle. I like that a lot. That's pretty similar to what I do. I'm linear now, but when I was doing the NA setup, it was very much, I would literally just use the curve to change the speed of the car, basically. Like the flatter, the slower it will go, the more curve, the faster it will go, pretty much. Definitely something to mess with. And like you said, the trim on the throttle, setting it so that it wants to go like as soon as possible.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Also something that I did. I can't get it quite as touchy on the AccuVance because there's like it won't go into reverse sometimes or something. I don't remember even what it was, but if you go too high or too close to the like breathing on the trigger and it moves, then it will just not go because it thinks you're basically always on the throttle.
Yeah.
But yeah. Do you have any questions, Adam? Or are you still messing with your computer over there?
Oh, my computer is having a heart attack right now. Like
we're barely surviving in here.
I'm surprised the stream is actually going right now.
It couldn't handle two Atoms. Like,
apparently.
Yeah. It's like a Y2K bug, dude.
CrowdStrike. That's crazy.
Did you post pictures of your chassis anywhere?
He did. I've got them ready to go here.
Let's pull those up.
Oh man.
I'm gonna grab a drink real quick while you're doing that.
Oh man. So yeah, it's funny because I say that I spent more on my transmitter wheel than I did on my sim racing wheel. like that's like an actual steering wheel, and that's like it's this big, so it kind of puts price into perspective. I mean, I think that the Azadas, I think I paid 120, 125, 130 from Super G. And then I have a Grip Royal wheel that I got on clearance for like $115. So I was like, I always tell people, I'm like, hey, like this thing that can actually be in an actual car, it's significantly less expensive than my little tiny wheel that's on my transmitter. Because I like the knurling. Yeah. So yeah, that's my purple car. I'm waiting. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nice. What's happening?
It didn't cut out,
All
Jake.
purple.
It
Purple
was
everything.
more
huh?
so me forgetting to add things. Yes, all the purple.
Mm-hmm.
Would you consider purple the best color of out of all the normal colors?
So I'm kind of I got really lucky with RC Drift, because if I had to say my favorite three colors, they'd be purple, black, and red. As in, like, everything I own, like, my phone is purple. Like, I think my iPod cover's purple. I was like, oh, perfect. Like, I found the perfect hobby for me. Everything I like is a color I like. So, yeah, I everything that I can go for purple, I will get in purple. So, yeah, I mean, other than the Overdose arms, which are black, I basically, I think, motor, ESC, DDSS, the little standoffs for my like RDX style chassis braces are purple. The springs.
I was so close to being a purple guy, and then I was just like, nah, we got to go all black.
I mean, it's murdered out. It's always cool. It's always in style.
It's also the easiest to resell. Like,
yeah,
that's the biggest thing for me.
That chassis looks like it's very, very stiff.
I think Kevin from RCO said it was the stiffest anybody has run the Kansai deck, because all the attachment points are there and like fully in, seated,
like every option to make it stiff.
Yeah, and then the top deck, so it's full stiff.
Is that something that you experimented with a lot, or?
So I had noticed that with previous chassis, like I would get flex and I'd be curious, like, oh, why'd my car, do something weird here? Like, why was there some weird kind of motion? And what I, fell into was just tuning with shocks, tuning with compression and rebound. And that's what the nerds really allowed me to do. In that flex isn't inherently bad. It's just, for my driving style and the way that I set up my car, I prefer having a stiffer car and then tuning with the shocks and kind of making everything a little more stable as a platform.
Yeah. It's less vague, I would say, too. It's more precise that way.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's a comment for the nerds is like, much like the Futaba and AccuVance stuff gives you that ability to change settings faster. Like being able to adjust that on a shock. I mean, think about how long it would take you to try a different oil in your shocks.
And dude, that was the thing. I was like, I want to try so many different things. And I was previously on Overdose HG3s, and like I loved them. They were great, but the thing that it was always itching like on the surface of my brain was like, hey, what would like fewer piston holes feel like, or what would it feel like if you ran 30 weight instead of 20 weight or something? Yeah. And this kind of gives me the ability to, kind of, it's my OCD, I guess, but like just being able to tune it.
It's totally valid. I mean, like I said, it's another thing that you're just going to get that much more dialed in. I think I've only tried like maybe 3 different like oil combinations, and I don't really know why I go one way or another. It's just like, I don't know, this seems like it feels okay. Yeah. So like being able to adjust it, you can like literally know what's happening.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And like I think this is more of like my sciencey kind of brain. I write down like everything. So like Mitch one night was like, when you change dampening, it does this, and when you change rebound, it does this. And I was like, okay, I got to put it in my notes. So that anytime like before like a comp, or if I'm like trying to look at my car, like, hey, how can I dial in more grip or, side bite or, exit speed, I can just be like, okay, well, like these are my notes. This is how I can change stuff. And then, I go in there, do like one more turn down, increase the compression a little. And, my car feels different and it might not feel better, but at least I'll know like, in what direction I can go.
That is a really good tip to write things down. Because even like I know myself, I've like rediscovered things and then be like, oh yeah, I definitely already knew that.
It's always something like that. It's like, man, I forgot which way like my toe turnbuckles were supposed to go in terms of like lengthening them or shortening them, and I just got so lazy to the point where I'm like, okay, yeah, this one up is longer and this one down is longer. I'm like, just do that, just follow that.
I mean, you can match all of them so that they're the same way.
See, that requires me to do more work at the beginning, and I was too excited setting everything up, so I just kind of threw it on there. Or like a lot of the stuff I like put on at the track because like something broke or whatever, and I was like, I gotta go fast. This is my one time a week I can drive. So I just threw it together and then kind of fixed it at home. But I would
say roll a garage. No offense, Mitch. not the best place to work on a car. Maybe if it's
Too
packed.
exciting.
I mean, if you got a table spot, then you're good. But
I mean, that's anywhere, right? Because like, if the people are there, you're always going to be either packed or sharing a spot. I'm having Logan problems with my microphone, with this microphone.
Jeez. Oh, do you have the extension for Chrome?
Yeah, hold on, because I found it for you. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, working on your car at Rolling Garage is fine. I'm just was taking a light jab at the workspace sometimes.
I think they are it's in the works to fix that.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I mean it's weird, and so you can kind of see it from here, but on the front side of the overdose knuckles, I have a what is it? The wrap up next multi-post screwed in there, so that I have the ability to run TK.
I just broke something. Oh, stop.
Like I had all these ideal, this is like the ideal system that I want, and I have no idea how to like add everything into one cohesive package.
Hey, you guys.
So shout out Seb for helping me with that.
I just broke the stream for the past like 20 seconds.
Yeah, that's quite a lot of parts that I'm not really familiar with on there.
Yeah, so the rear end being overdose kind of just gives me a lot more tunability. So you can see these little teeth on the arm. I can change the length of the arm by millimeter between 52 and 42. I think I'm at 45 right now. And then by offsetting, I can either add trail, so I can have a trailing angle, so the wheel will basically be like that, unless I run like on a lot of overdose cars.
Hey, you guys.
3 degrees. Yeah.
I totally broke the stream for a good 20 seconds. So,
Adam,
whatever you just said.
Okay.
Your story. If we
wasn't anything crazy.
No, you're good.
He did drop the craziest bomb I've ever heard on me, but I guess you guys missed it. So
yeah, that's for the
blew my mind.
Google Meet.
But
sorry,
yeah. No, yeah, you didn't miss anything. We were just talking about some of the parts that he has on the rear of the car.
I promise I'll get it figured out. I don't know what's going on.
It's all good, Adam. You do plenty for us. So.
Oh yeah, dude, you're totally good.
Sorry.
So yeah. No, you're good, man. So at Cross Games, I was actually running mid ESC. So
interesting.
Because on my previous car by TDP, I was sitting about 70% rear weight bias with a mid-mounted ESC, which is
really
pretty. Yeah, because the motor is basically it's behind the drive axle, so it's
okay.
I'll let Jordan get into it, Mr. TDP man.
Yeah,
but yeah, so like very rear heavy car, and I liked it, and so I went and I mid-mounted my ESC on this car, and I didn't notice until tech at Cross Games, but I was sitting at like 64% rear weight bias. I was like, this is crazy. I didn't expect it to be like that. And so on advice from Kevin from RCO and my ideal weight bias, I bought a new ESC to rear mount because I didn't want to solder on new cables.
Yep, I know that's a nightmare on an Accuvance.
yeah, there wasn't anybody who because I'm not super confident in my soldering abilities. I was like, hey, anybody want to do this? And they're like, mm-mm. Like you're gonna lose your warranty as much as that matters. And I was like, okay, like I'll just buy a new ESC. I'll buy double it. It's my birthday.
I am currently faced with a similar issue where I have to make the decision of changing the wires or buy an ESC. And having done it once, I'm definitely gonna buy an ESC.
Hell yeah, that's what we do.
Not that hard.
It's not hard. You just have to put way more heat into it than you really feel comfortable doing.
I think you're underestimating the durability of an ESC.
I guess.
Anyway, hey, Adam. Coming back to this picture, the reason why I was on it for so long, for the overdose arms, are you running your outside at 0 degrees, or do you have a little bit of toe?
So those are at 0 right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's at 0 right now on both the arms and the hubs.
Okay. And
then I'm running like 1.6 degrees of toe in the rear.
Pretty standard toe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have, those are the like you can change the toe on the upright itself.
Yeah.
And then
Here.
So if you look at these if you see these teeth, if I run an extra tooth, say in the rear, I can change the toe in and toe out. And so what you see on a lot of like overdose team drivers' cars is they run basically the opposite of what I run, which is a longer toe block in the rear. So they run a longer toe block in the front and then a shorter one in the rear. So their toe links are like this, and then they run their arms like this. So ultimately, the wheels are still relatively normal at like maybe a degree of toe in, but they've added trail. So the way that the car compresses and then kind of toes in a little changes as as you change the alignment. So it allows for a lot more intricate tuning. I kind of just did it because I like having the ability, and I wanted to add a little more weight to the car down low in unsprung weight. And I've been loving it so far.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, I do know how to solder, guys. Yeah. I don't know when the last time you did it was, but when I did it, it was pretty gnarly.
You got
My ESC is fine. It works. I don't know why I'm being attacked all of a sudden.
Because you brought it up.
See.
All I said was I did not have a fun time changing the wires out. Goddamn.
See, the funny thing is I'm a step further than you, and I've already dropped like the $400 on a new ESC, and they're still like, "Hey man, like I can fix that for you," and I'm like, I'm already like,
yeah. I don't need my ESC to be fixed. It's fine. I will still buy a new one before having to do all that again.
Man.
What servo are you running, Adam?
CD 700.
And has that been the only Futaba servo that you've run, or have you run others?
Yeah,
but that's the same thing.
Only the CD 700.
Okay, so you have no idea as far as like 701 or CT 700.
I've helped people tune a CT 500, a CT 700, and a 701. But yeah, this is the only one that I've actually owned.
Okay. How long did it take you to figure out your tune?
On the CD?
On the CD.
Man, I mean, it's kind of track dependent, but I've kind of locked it in. Maybe like a month, maybe like 3 or 4 track days.
Yeah. So I think the fair question, like how long? Because I have a CD as well. I adjust it probably every time I go to the track. But how long until you got from like I just installed this in my car to I'm like, this feels awesome?
Maybe only half of a track day. I kind of just was like, I'm gonna run this like I run my RSST. I'm gonna I slowed it down. So I basically just increased damper to the point where it didn't shake. I dropped my stretcher, so the torque pretty low, and I have a relatively high boost, and then I kept the speed at like 1.5 or 2, which is relatively slow.
Yeah.
And yeah, from there I was just it kind of felt like my RSST, and then from there I kind of just would adjust one thing or one parameter by like maybe like I'd go, hey, I'll try stretcher at like 1 instead of 0.75, and then I'd drive like 5 or 6 laps.
Yep.
And then be like, oh, it's pulling too much inside. I'm gonna go back. Maybe I'll decrease boost, and like, oh, okay, it's spinning out a little more. It doesn't really have that immediate grip. I'm like, okay, well, I'll change that back, or just the testing phase that was longer, but to get it from feeling like it did with my RSST on a DDSS to being comfortable with it and being able to tandem and everything, maybe like a track day.
Well, that's not bad at all. I think from what I've seen, the DDSS is probably the most sensitive to the turbo or to a servo tune out of all the other systems that we have. I think obviously because it's like direct drive.
Yep.
Yeah, it's finicky.
Yeah.
But once you get it,
it's really good.
I mean, I love it. I don't think I could ever go back. It's like, I mean, and that's not saying anything, because, I've seen like Mitch can destroy my doors, and he doesn't run a DDSS. He runs like the Rev D, and basically every GOM is his bell crank, and like the MD2 that you run, Logan, like it's just personal. I just feel like I like being able to tune from the transmitter. I can kind of just like throw the servo in the car and just be like, I'm done with this. It's never gonna like, other than like the servo horn loosening sometimes.
That's honestly like, that's probably a understated advantage of the DDSS, is how much less there is to mess with as far as the tuning goes.
That's not
because,
true.
Like, what do you mean?
I think it's the accessibility to the tuning, right? Like, it is way easier to change and adjust your Ackerman on the DDSS than it is on anything else. Now, don't get me wrong, right? Because like Yusakani did it first, and then other people followed. So,
but like on the MD2, there's like, you can mess with all the spacers. Like there's a slide rack. You can mess with the forward and reverse position of the slide rack. You can mess with the spacers on the ball studs on the slide rack. On both sides, because the one that connects to the bell crank, there's like the length of the bell crank turnbuckle, which should kind of just stays the same, but like just like there's so much more to adjust than the DDSS, which has like the servo, or that's the position of the servo, right?
Which literally adjusts everything that you just listed.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like it's a few adjustments can do everything, versus like
manual labor, everything.
A lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't think it's a perfect like steering system, but I do think it's above all others. I'll still drive a Rev D bell crank any day, right? But
yeah, I don't think anyone has really. I mean, obviously DDSS is probably the most preferred system by high level drivers, but
I think it's also one of the most accessible, because if you think about it, Jake's got it right too. Pitch and rake is also available in the settings, which you can't 100%. Do in others. But think like it's $100, right, for DDSS. Whereas if you think Rev D bell crank is, when I did it, when you have all of the components, including the steering knuckles, right? It's like $160. How much is the GOM slide bell crank?
Ooh. Oh man,
like
that's big money.
Yeah, it's like, when you think about it, even the MD2 like bell crank or adapter, right? It's like $80, right? It's crazy. So that's why I think that DDSS is so much more accessible than any others.
More price than anything.
Yeah, it's your bang for your buck steering rack, especially since it's all of it. It's adaptable to a wide tube.
So many of the conversion chassis are accounting for it, right? And there's a couple different versions,
right?
so you can pretty much put it on anything.
Or are we so numb to the fact that basically everything has a YD2 front end conversion?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Like literally everything has a YD2 front end on it.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I picked up a used DDSS just to have for like $75 used. Like it was, and I just have it because I'm like, hey, if I ever put it on a different car, if I need spare parts, I'm like, I just kind of have it. And yeah, I'm like, it came with everything, and I couldn't really ask for more. It's like it's cheap, does what I want, and it's very tunable. So
There you go. Yeah, I don't currently find myself in a situation where I can really run a DDSS because I chose the MD2, but hopefully that will change someday.
I mean, literally talk to any chassis maker. Carbon Fury will do it. Lance will do it for you. Take your pick.
Yeah, hit up your sponsor, man.
Oh,
Tell them
yeah.
about, yo, I want a DDSS on my MD2.
RCO would do it. Like there are so many chassis conversion companies that are out there now that will just do it.
Yep.
I think DJ is losing his internet bandwidth.
Yeah, I've kind of noticed that. I keep looking up and
Somebody's
like,
downstairs watching CSI, dude.
dude, I'm actually the only one here, surprisingly.
It's the Wi-Fi problems. Anyway, okay.
Lance Industries is now a company. Yes, that is true.
Lance Incorporated.
Midnight Design, for all of you who don't know, puts out killer chassis, can do killer chassis, can do one off of chassis. Take your pick. He did Jose's Outcast Drift chassis that is apparently retired right now, which is kind of lame.
What do you mean?
So Lance had the Midnight Design chassis for the Shark and for like YD2 and everything, right?
Oh yeah,
But it was a flexi,
like an Outcast engraved one.
yeah, except it was a stiff chassis.
Yeah.
But now it's retired. It's already retired.
Yeah.
Hey Adam, did you post any other pictures of your chassis, or was that the only set?
I think that was the only set. I do have a picture of my off season. So you guys have seen my on season, my 400Z before. And then I just posted what's going to be my off season body, which is I think I posted it in the chat. It's an S15.
In the roast my work or roast my rig, or
the topics and ideas.
okay. There's an S15. Hold on, let me do some scrolling. Oh, here we go.
Oh yeah. That's pretty cool.
Witcheroony.
I like the
that is
wing on that. That's pretty nice.
Not the one that I wanted. Hold on. When everything goes wrong on your stream. I think this is bad karma for me, guys.
I don't. Yeah. What? Honestly, Adam, what is happening? I don't understand why or how this could happen. What did you change? What did you do?
I mean, we changed to Thursday night.
That and
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe it's the day of the week.
You mean you bought all
YouTube's just
the?
like, nah.
I told you not to buy all that equipment that doesn't work on Thursdays.
Maybe it's because I didn't have enough time to eat. Who knows?
So yeah, this is my going to be my off-season body. So it's a Rev D, the Wonder S15, and then it was painted by Alec Sliding Productions from Las Vegas. He does incredible work, and the livery I got from my friend Seb at Rolling Garage. He actually gifted me the livery, and I was like, I have to build
Nice.
this body now. It's like the sickest, coolest thing. So yeah, I mean, I'm so excited to get that thing mounted. I mean, it's gonna be like the first time I've run an S15 since my second body ever, and that thing's destroyed from it being my second body ever. So
Yeah.
having a nice one's gonna be. I mean, like just looking at it, man. I don't have it in my hands yet, but when I do, oof, that's gonna be nice. But
Pretty sick.
Yep.
So have you been like? Obviously, you're coming off the move. Have you been driving at slide lines at all yet, or?
Yeah, so I've been driving at both prototype and slide lines. We just finished round 6 of STC
That's right.
at prototype, and then
Yeah.
round 7 is going to be August 10th. And yeah, I mean, just driving with everybody in the Vegas community, it's just like they definitely push me, and the style's a little different. Being super aggressive on entry, being aggressive chasing all the time, never turning that off is. It's something to get used to, but it's definitely fun. It's always like I come away from the track and I'm like, yeah, I definitely learned something about my car. Like I need more steering angle or something. I actually from Brett, he recommended that I take off my steering stoppers and then go to 90-degree ball cups, and like it's been crazy because without that, it's just like
That's definitely the move for all of our DDSS guys. Similar setup.
Yeah, because like I mean the guys there, especially at sidelines, they like with the way that the track is set up, like you throw crazy angle, and if you don't have the steering angle, like you're gonna spin.
Yep.
And that was like my welcome to Vegas moment. I'm like, I need more angle. I need to get I need more high lock. I'm like, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I mean it's different and the driving's different, but it's definitely a lot of fun. And I've really felt like taken in by the Vegas community, and shout out everybody out there. It's it's nice not having to drive 2.5 hours to and from the track. So
Yeah, I could see why that's
just a little easier.
enjoyable. How far away are you from the track now? Or
So I'm about 10 miles, maybe like 8 or 9 miles to prototype, and then sidelines is only about 7, but I have to basically, I have to take a 15, and then I have to almost get on the strip and go to Chinatown. So maybe like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. That's
not bad at all.
If that's rush hour. So I'm like, talking to everybody, I'm like, this is crazy because I can actually like drive to the track now, and I'm not, burning a whole day of time.
Yeah, burning up all your time. Yeah, and
Exactly.
obviously you had a great place at Rolling Garage to train, but it's definitely not a downgrade going out to Vegas, I would say. You got the Drift King, you got Charles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Raymond, RJ, Mason, Nick, Jalen, everybody out there,
Absolutely.
the level of driving is immense. Yeah, and then Cino just moved back, and he was a TQ at finals a couple years ago, and he's been a force in the Vegas community, and it's like the level of driving is incredible, and I'm honestly blessed to have gone from one of the best regions in the US, and then going to another region that's one of the best in the US. I'm just kind of living the dream.
So with Brett, do you guys just call him the King or DK or?
Yeah, I mean, man. So yeah, dude, I will say, you will never really know how fast somebody can hold crazy angle until you drive with Brett at slide lines. Like the speed, like he can go insanely fast, and he's not compromising angle at all. And seeing him drive with Raymond, whose car is like the most insane rear active toe setup I've ever seen. It's like they're screaming fast, and they're holding high angle the entire way around the track, and it's definitely a learning experience. It's like, oh man, I really need to kind of dial in my trigger finger just to get around the track fast enough to hang with them.
That's, man, we always get back on that, but it's just, at least from a competition aspect, we can act all day like it's not a race, but it's a damn race. It really is. And it's not even about, it's like, yeah, obviously we want as much angle as possible, but like you said, when you drive with someone that can hold such higher angle than you and still go faster, and it doesn't really make sense, it's like, all right, we got issues. And it's like, yeah, we got it is a race. Oh shit, I didn't realize it was a race, but guess what, it is.
I think that was one of the things at Cross Games that a lot of people noticed. Basically, none of the zones were angle checks. Like, it was just kind of get into the zone and hold whatever angle you were at, and there wasn't any, perfect score in terms of angle. Like, you could be at that, 85 degrees and barely holding on, or you could be at 45 degree and kind of coasting through.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like equal points, and it was like speed was incredibly important, like getting from zone to zone to zone.
Yeah.
And like it was kind of like
between areas.
Yeah, the point and shoot aspect. It's like, oh, end of zone, point at the next zone, shoot, go there as fast as you possibly can, throw angle, hold, point, shoot.
It seemed like really all they cared about was how aggressive you initiated and threw into the turn, right?
So like I like to call myself like a student of like whatever I do. I watch like a lot of like RCDC or like, random comps in Japan, or, so, watching Cross Games, I was like, okay, yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty sure you're correct in that, because it seems like the most important thing was just being aggressive. It wasn't like they didn't care about how deep you got into a zone, or, where you got into a zone, or if you held angle for the entirety of the zone. It was basically like, did you throw it really hard?
Yeah.
Perfect.
And the faster you're going, the harder you can throw it. So
exactly. And like, that's not to be said like as a detriment. It's just different style. And it's like the aggressiveness was definitely a priority, and for a lot of drivers, including myself, like it was difficult to adapt to something that has been like almost taboo. Like, don't just kind of throw shallow angle and pray. It's like no, like just don't hit walls. And it's like, okay.
That would be my one critique of our current layout, is it does make for good tandem, because there's not a lot of area. There's only really one area on the track where it's a big commitment, high risk kind of entry. The rest of it is all like fairly not slow, but just like smooth, and it's kind of like easy to go from zone to zone, from outside to outside. I do kind of miss, like, we're always hunting like the flow, but then there's almost such a thing as too much flow. Like I kind of miss an example would be at Rolling Garage when we were there. Obviously the back straight had a manji, and you had that one turn that was like you manji and then throw it into this turn and see what happens. Yeah. And we kind of don't necessarily have that right now, but it's positives and negatives, right? Like I said, it makes for a really good tandem, and the laps are really good once you get the train going. So it's kind of trade-offs. Because that turn throws at Rolling Garage. That turn can be a train killer, right?
Oh, absolutely. So, I think something after driving at Rolling Garage as my primary track for a long time is realizing how difficult it is to get around that track consistently and perfectly every time.
Yeah.
Like, man, I was pretty aggressive in the comp scene. Like I could, I was second at, the in the Drift Federation up there, and still like I'd go to Rolling Garage and I'd hit every wall, and then like I'd throw and it just wouldn't be correct, or like I'd throw it and it wouldn't go deep enough into the zone. I was like, it was, and going to other tracks, I was like, man, like that was a really difficult layout. Like that, that's just like that pushed me as a driver to be to be consistent where like you to the extent that like if you weren't perfect, you'd be hitting the wall. Like there was no margin of error.
Yeah, very little.
It is, yeah, and you know, coming from a like kind of tighter track, and you go to somewhere like Super G where the lanes are like 3.5 car lengths wide, you can kind of like
you can almost do no wrong there, really. Like
it feels like it.
It's like a highway.
And exactly. So I think it's like a like calling it my dojo. It's like very difficult. It was, you know, it definitely pushed me a lot, and then going to other tracks, I could kind of like suss out where I could make up more ground, because like it was just so difficult to kind of just drive there. And I imagine when I go back, it'll be like relearning how to drive again, and then I'm gonna be gapped.
Yeah, it was definitely a wake up call for all of us. We've driven in tight tracks before, but it was just like, okay, this is a different level. We've talked about that a bunch on the show, but it is definitely like a lot more pressure to perform every lap, because there's so many like high risk areas, which, I mean, you know, we kind of have that now. Our lanes aren't super wide, as you'll see, but it's I think just with the grip level that you guys have too, like our track's a lot easier to drive because the tile is a little less grippy. So you have a very tight track that's pretty high grip, and all the zone, or at least, you know, from, I would say, like the really tight hairpin onto the straightaway and then into the big sweeper is like all very high consequence and challenging. Any I would say the tightest turns where you have wall rides are the hardest, and then also anywhere you have a big commitment throw in, and then you don't know exactly what's going to happen until like a few seconds later.
Yeah,
are challenging.
It's definitely a learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Jacob, so my my car now weighs. So I previously, I was very famously in the cycling community, they call it a weight weenie.
You're a weight weenie. So, I'm a weight
weenie.
Yeah,
so I was a weight weenie. I made sure my car was like 1,300 grams on the dot, and then eventually I kind of just said, and I went. So my car now is like, I think at the latest comp with the body on, it was like 1,500 grams even.
Oh, wow.
Maybe. Yeah,
Damn.
It's chunky. It's chunky.
And that was that 70 still?
Yeah, that was 70 rear weight bias.
All right.
I was at 1060 in the rear. I think something around there. It was pretty significant.
Yeah.
But
I'll be interested to drive with you when you come there.
So real question though, like for weight though, do you like? For me, it's more fun to drive a heavier car. Like I feel like I'm more into it. I can throw around a little bit more.
Yeah.
What is it for you?
So it's like everything in this. It's not like better or worse. It's just like what you want and how you drive. My driving style kind of prioritized like having the stability. So what I noticed was when I would throw, and my kind of checkpoint, my benchmark was Mitch. So when Mitch was driving around the track, and he, you know, his car weighs maybe 1,400, 1,450.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that it would carry itself through the corner, it had more inertia, which is like inherent to it just weighing more. As much as I could increase tailslide speed on my 550, as much as I could change stuff, it didn't have the carry as much as his car did. So I'd have to like throw and then be on throttle earlier, or else I'd be left behind, which is interesting because you think lighter means more having the ability to make up that ground. But yeah, what I noticed was as I increased, so all of this was incremental. I added the overdose arms, and I went from about 1,350 grams to about 1,400, and I noticed it just had more carry into that turn. Like the rear end would just kind of sit at angle more comfortably.
Mm-hmm.
And then like now, it's how I describe my car as set and forget. You just throw the car into the angle, and it just holds the angle through the entirety of the turn, and then it just rides it out. There's no real like having to be on, you know, very aggressive on throttle to, you know, catch up to anybody. I don't feel like it's any slower. It definitely lost a lot of mid-corner nimbleness. Like it doesn't really have the ability to check up as well. But in the way that I drive my car, I like to just I don't ever change angle mid corner. I'm never on the wheel doing anything. And as I've set my CD 700, it's too slow to actually have any functional change mid corner. So it just kind of sets. So having that heavier car just allows it to sit at a more comfortable angle without having to make any kind of crazy corrections on the wheel or on the throttle.
Yeah, there's definitely, I think, my car right now is like 1360, so I'm not even like super light. I'm pretty light, but it's definitely a thing of like it is more agile, and therefore it is probably harder to drive because it is affected by everything even more. I think there's definitely an advantage in chase. The ability to slow down when you're chasing is probably improved with a lighter car, but definitely the fact that we're on non-pneumatic tires throws a lot of like some of the traditional weight kind of theory out the window, right? Because a plastic tire is completely different from what you would have in the real world. Yeah, I'm excited to drive with you when you come.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, I've driven with you before, but at our track is going to be a little different.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely excited. I know I had the home field advantage last time, so I definitely I want to see how.
Our track is easier to drive, so it's only going to get worse.
Oh man.
But it'll be awesome having you and Jordan and sounds like maybe Hector. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the peer pressure guy, so I'll definitely put some pressure.
Keep it up. Keep it up.
Absolutely, you got.
I'm really trying to get some of the Phoenix guys to come over. Yeah.
That's what I like to hear, Hector. That's what I like to hear.
Do it. That's sick.
Oh, twins, baby.
Hey, you guys, I'm gonna end the oh crap, where'd it go? The poll. It ended at 33% as transmission.
That's significantly closer than what I thought it'd be.
30. Here it goes. 32% transmission, 25% body, 22% chassis, 19% steering.
Alfredo, that would be insane.
Hell yeah, Alfredo!
That'd be so sick.
Drive with you up there. That'd be sick.
I'll get in touch with you again. I know we've been talking, but oh yeah, that is also happening. Yeah,
Ooh.
there's some tough timing for the LA stuff, which I've kind of been trying to avoid. We knew about it, I would say, but it was just the schedule that we had available to us worked out in such a way. But
hey,
anyways,
Miko, don't let me peer pressure you too, man.
Yeah, Miko's not coming.
Oh,
unfortunately.
So, if
next year though,
if you are on a day like I'm probably going to be there Saturday, Sunday, maybe, or I might do a Friday, Sunday type of thing. Who knows? But if you need an airport pickup, hit me up because I'll probably be on the way up.
No, yeah, totally. I mean, we can run shuttle action. Any visitors, we will help out in any way that we can. I'm kind of already full up on space at the party pad here, but as far as getting people to and from the track, we can definitely help with that.
Yep. I'll run shuttle in my little Corolla. Hopefully you don't have too much crap.
Yep.
Following up in chat though, Midnight Drifters. So the problem with like YouTube to Discord, names don't always match up. So I don't know who is who, and that's the problem. So I probably saw it, maybe. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Any events coming up? August 2nd is S-Fest. August 11th is is the next Drift Comp. And then 23rd through the 25th is the event that we're talking about right now. If you're available, make it, because it should be a fun time.
It's going to be awesome.
What track did we go to? PDX, because it's the only track in Oregon.
Yeah, and then I'm
not.
Okay, it is the only commercial track in Oregon.
Well, that's not even true either.
There's Twisted RC, but they haven't made a lot of like headway.
And there's also, isn't there one in Redmond?
Oh, I don't know about that one.
I was just a guy came up that I forgot his name already. I'm terrible with names, but there was a guy that lives pretty far down south, and I think he was saying he goes to Rolling Garage fairly regularly because he actually works out of Sacramento or something. I don't remember his name though, but I think he's coming up. He said, but yeah, I think he said there was a place way down there that they drift at too.
So let's recap on the actual event. It's a 3-day event. It's what is it? Drift to death.
Team Associated Drift to Death.
Ooh, we got a corporate sponsor.
Well,
Title sponsor.
Yeah, title sponsor and filled with other sponsors too, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
we did go over the event at the beginning, but we'll go over it again now. Yeah, so we got Team Associated Drift to Death. Team Associated is giving us a chassis to give away. We have Beast Mode RC, Winner's Choice chassis. We have AccuVance with a rad, some addiction, like an addiction body, and then so I think it's Shibata pit mat and battery bag. Then we have One Up with some products, and we're still working on more sponsors, but yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. So if you have time, if you have something cool, then stick with the something cool. If you need something even more cool, then we're here. We're at PDX.
Midnight, if you were there and you won the Beast Mode Winner's Choice, they do have an MST conversion, which is what DJ was working on. I don't know where he went. We lost him. There he is.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah, one frame at a
Sorry.
time.
Yeah, I'll come back frames at a time. Yeah. You need Beast Mode MST? Got you covered.
Yeah, so yeah, technically yes would be the answer to that question.
Got 2 of them.
But not a full chassis.
Not like not like a whole
No,
kit, but
it's
a
just a
Beast Mode
conversion kit, yeah, of your choice.
or anything. Ooh.
So if
what
you
else?
drive,
so-
I think it's Sakura, Yokomo, and MST and Rev D are the chassis that he makes. So.
And then, so as far as guest drivers, we have Adam, of course, Jordan, another Rolling Garage guy, Justin Wilming's coming down, and then some other people are kind of maybes at this point, but we'll see. Like I said, as far as LA goes, it's kind of tough. It's bad timing on our part, but that is what it is.
Hey, Adam, I want to bring up a Trey question for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So, what is... Oh, I forget it every single time. What's the one thing of RC Drift that has... Or just in RC general, that you have changed, like from your initial perspective to something completely different?
I mean, so in terms of tuning, the weight thing that I was saying, like being fundamentally like it has to be the lightest thing possible, to being like whatever just works. Man, to be honest, probably the idea that I had to have everything of like one manufacturer, that I have to like kind of keep to one brand, and I think I've really devolved from that. Like I've like left that in the like
You're the poster boy of it.
Exactly. So, and that was completely inadvertent. I was just like, I just want this, and this is what it gives me. And I'm thankful that like companies like RCO kind of provided me with like literally the baseline, the thing that allows me to put all these things together to put exactly what I wanted in transmission, exactly what I wanted in the front end. But yeah, no, it was just my first chassis was like an SX3, and I like only put Yokomo parts on it, and I was very aggressively like, this is the way to do things. Like it has to be the same brand.
And I found myself in similar situations before.
And I think that was something that was like a big departure for me, of like kind of like not really like I just kind of fell out with brand loyalty just to be loyal to a brand. I was like, oh man, I have to be like a Yokomo guy, or I have to be a Rev B guy, or I have to be a TDP or a Overdose or whatever brand. And I was like, nah, I'll just kind of do what I like and put it on something that I enjoy. And I think that I've kind of exemplified that in my chassis, and I think that's something that really changed in me. And being the okay, RJ, I have those ball studs. They're going on the nerds. They're MST ball studs, because to me it doesn't make them anymore, or doesn't want to, or whatever. But yeah, I mean, and not being a chassis purist, like not looking at somebody, because I think it's really easy to look at it like a beginner. And we talk about this with the Fortec or the 2-wheel drive version. It's like we immediately come to this conclusion that like everybody who gets these are not going to be like, they're not going to be passionate, or they're not going to be like this, or they're going to be more difficult to drive with. Which I mean, the vast majority might be. We don't know, but the ability to just like we'll just see and say, because I've met a lot of people who started with one chassis, or on like a starter or whatever, and you kind of just write them off as like not being serious about it, and they change. Like they come to the track every day, or they are there anytime and they're driving with me, or within like a month they went from like barely making a round to turn to like hitting nearly all the clipping points. It's like not letting the don't judge a book by its cover. Like don't say that somebody's going to be whatever kind of driver because of like this is the car that they drive. I think that's something that I definitely used to do, and now I look at myself, I'm like, man, that was like silly. Why would I ever assume something like that?
The thing is with so many of these kits, like if certain things are adjustable, then they're all the same essentially. Like I mean, obviously there's differences, but like for the most part, like anything that you buy, if it's an RDS, an RDX, a YD, a MST, the associated whatever random Chinese Temu, thing that you buy, if certain things are adjustable, then it's gonna probably be fine.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. But leading into this, then, out of all of the commercially available chassis, so
available,
they have to be sold, and only that kit, no modifications, like no chassis swaps or anything like that. What to you, because this is very subjective, is the worst possible chassis that you can start off with? If you've been paying attention to the PDX Facebook page, PDX Underground RC Facebook page, but yeah, let's go with that.
Are we talking ready to run or kit?
Anything that's 2-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive with the gyro on it.
I have my answer.
But
let's get Adams.
I mean, probably. So like it came out as rear-wheel drive, like no convert, no like TTO2, and no like taking out. Okay. Better clarification. There was a rear-wheel drive option, and it came like that.
Sounds like you already have your answer.
I already have my answer.
Okay, I'd say in terms of difficulty of like getting up to speed and like being so different from everything, probably the Traxxas, and the fact that it's like so fundamentally different. Yeah. Because I mean, dude, the Sakura D6 can be competitive. Dude, Brett drove a monoshock D3 on my like very expensive car that I had like no original parts on, and I was very particular about, and he was absolutely demolishing me in like December. So I mean, to the extent that if it kind of resembles anything on the rear wheel drive market, like the motor's in the right place, and the alignment isn't horrible, or you can adjust the alignment. That's fine.
Yeah,
I'd probably say the Traxxas just for the fact that it's like it was, and it's dedicated to being a rear wheel drive chassis, and it's so different.
Yes,
but it's
like
it's
a GRK, it's a TTO2.
The GRK has the advantage of having if we're gonna say that they're similar, the advantage of it not being very new. It's an incredibly this is what GRK5, and then they have the GS2. So they've gone through revisions, they've gone through different processes, and I mean it's still a longitudinally mounted motor with the battery on one side and the ESC and the motor on the other.
Don't do that to
GRK. I agree with him. It's not fair at all. Like that's just how the Fortec happens to be.
No, I totally get it. Like I'm not ragging on GRK.
The other thing is with the Traxxas is obviously the electronic setup is totally standalone as far as like is the gyro part of the receiver? I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't like the whole ecosystem of that. Because what if that chassis only works with that setup, and you put in like something fancier that's supposedly...
Well, I mean, if you throw a standard electronics package in that, which it should be fine. Good luck, Judd. And it should be fine. It's going to work fine, right? But yeah, if we're talking like off the shelf, then it is hard to kind of choose between kit and ready to run. But I think ready to run for sure. The Traxxas has to be kind of and it's not fair to call it the worst, but it's just like it's the most not in line with what we're all driving. That's
my main point.
Yeah.
Should I have put the preface of beginner car for a beginner? Sorry, I'm trying to angle this. So basically,
I know you're trying to get the answer that you have in your head.
Okay, so on PDX page, PDX Underground RC Drift page, there's been like a few people that have picked up MST FXXs.
Yes.
And like,
and there's isn't there a new MST front motor car?
It's FXR or whatever it is. It's the high.
There's too many F's and X's in all of their names.
It's basically a wrap up next FRD 6.0 ish. But yeah, I'm like, that's no, because that was my starter car, right? Except I had the VIP version. No.
Can you still buy FXXs new?
I don't know about new. So that makes me break my own rule, but
I thought about that. I thought FXX for the sake of being so different, but I'm like, the Traxxas is even more different. Like it's even more like weird as compared to say the FXX. Because I mean, at least like it's kind of like reasonable, and there's like option parts, and you can tune it.
There was a video that went around on the social medias today of the FRX, the new one.
Yep.
And I think everyone was like impressed of how the car was driving.
But it was only one car, right?
It was only one car. There's only one driver in perfect conditions.
One video.
And not driving with a rear motor car. So, that's the real truth here, I think, is what are people at your track driving, and what's going to align with what is happening there, right? So
my conclusion, if you're thinking about an FXX for your first chassis, don't.
Adam just really hates the FXX a lot.
I mean, I put probably $1,600 to $1,800 into that chassis, and it still didn't drive very good. It was a great carpet car, but that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, any type of change to the platform that's that drastic goes back to what I was saying. It's just not going to drive with the cars at your track.
Exactly.
Oh, you wait, Logan. You wait. We're going to have that
Oh, I know.
Traxxas.
Apparently, Judd's gonna be on my door with his Traxxas any day now. I can't wait.
No, it'll be Lance. Lance will be there.
One second.
We'll be both.
I wanna-
Going pizza as hell too. I can't wait.
With the rubber,
I
it's
wanna-
got to
I
have the
wanna-
rubber tires, right?
Yeah.
So, what's up, Adam?
No, I just want to give a quick shout out to Malcolm and Ike in the chat. Hey, what's up, boys? And Alfredo. So you were actually one of your car last year. Yours and Brett's were kind of like the main inspiration behind like what I have right now, where it was kind of like, oh, I can kind of piecemeal something, because when you guys kind of showed like their cars being all from different brands and different picking and choosing, I'm like, oh, okay, so that's not like taboo. So I just wanted to say like, yeah, that kind of like opened the door for what I wanted to do, especially like when I was kind of dead set on being in one brand.
Yeah. I think we've talked about it a lot, but that has definitely been the theme of the year as far as chassis, is just the modular kind of setup. And Judd, we're talking full stock. If you're talking modified, then it's a totally different ball game. And still good luck, but also I'm talking bone stock.
I mean, honestly, bone stock for what the pictures were showing is kind of like bone stock for what the GOM has to begin with. Like, not even lying by that. I mean,
How many GOMs are 100% stock and remain 100% stock? Like,
I mean, how many drift cars is sitting same?
I mean, if we're going by the transmission of it, none of mine.
yeah.
Okay, so Logan.
9 is for real, so yeah.
Logan, you're the one
Yes.
that wanted to stop this at 9 o'clock.
We got to stop at 9.
We gotta
I have
stop
to
at
work
9.
in the morning.
Okay. DJ, what are you doing?
Waking up.
Right now, I am cutting down my body pose because my body like kind of sits.
Wonky.
What is it? Carolina squat.
Oh no.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, Carolina squatting it. Got my front end's higher than my rear end.
I mean, that's how a lot of us ride anyway, right? Like, in the end. Anyways,
Yeah.
hey, you guys.
I'm definitely squatted.
Hopefully this has been a new, fun, little, interesting time slot for you.
I think
We have a lot more.
viewer-wise, it seems like it went just fine.
Yeah, except when I broke it and then it came
Yeah,
back.
I
and
mean,
then-
we had our own difficulties. I'm just saying it's not like nobody watched. It's pretty average audience.
well, so the idea here is we're wanting more than average audience in terms of activity, which I think we did. I think we did
Yeah,
get
a little
more.
bit. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, Adam is a big proponent to this. Not me, other Adam.
I
Honestly,
don't know about that. man.
the difference between like who we have on makes like a huge jump, which is really
Absolutely,
really cool.
Of course.
There's a few ways that you can take that. But anyways, hey Adam, did you have fun tonight?
Oh my god, dude, so much fun. Thank you guys for having me on here. It's
Oh, yeah.
I've listened to so many of these streams, man, in the audience. It's just like, it's crazy that I'm like actually on it.
I don't think I told Adam, but I had my first like semi being recognized by someone I don't know
Oh,
event. Did I tell you that?
How'd that
no,
go?
how did?
Well, what was her name? This lady showed up at the track. She's from
Oh
Phoenix.
yeah.
It was Miss Autotune, something like that. Shoot, let me find it. Yeah, Alexis Autotune. I think she's been watching the show for a long time.
Is that-
even like when John
Is that
was
her
on.
YouTube channel handle?
Alexis Autotune RC is definitely her Instagram handle.
Okay.
But she was visiting and she came into the track and was just like, it was kind of funny because she was like, "Is Adam or Logan here?" She asked me that, and I was like, Logan's here."
Well, no. So it's funny because she also like at Super G like just so casually said hi to me. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
who are you? But no, like because she's posted some YouTube videos before. Like Bubble Milk is where
Yep.
she's at.
Yep.
But yeah. Was it weird?
It It was a little weird at first, obviously, because she didn't immediately recognize me. I mean, that's just awkward. But I mean, it was great. It was nice having her at the track, and I let her drive my my car. She drove somebody's car, and hopefully her and her husband, because her husband is also a driver down there in Phoenix. So hopefully they were. I know she was a little apprehensive about saying too much commitment, but that they would at least try to come. So hopefully that would be cool.
For sure. All right, you guys. It is 9:01.
9. Turn it off. Turn it off.
Give me some comments. Let me know
Hey,
how
get
we're
me out of
doing.
here.
I'll have everything figured out by next week, hopefully.
It'll be fine.
All right,
You're a pro.
Adam,
Yep.
hang out for a little bit because we always do a little bit of a roundup afterwards.
Got you.
Everybody else, you
Good
guys
night.
take it easy and good night.
Adios.